Welcome to Forever Exiled. I'm Justin, aka Tags.
And I'm Tyler, Wrecker of Days. And you can't do that to me. I got you, but you can't do that to me. I was ready.
It happens every now and then. Yeah, you were ready. Let me quickly open Audacity.
Yeah, but then
you got me quick.
Who was panicking? That. Oh yeah,
it's a fast computer.
And there was no 3, 2, 1.
Wasn't expecting to come up that fast. Episode 280. 280 of Forever Exiled. Hi. Big shout out to our patrons though first. Thank you, Matt, for joining up this week, and everybody who resubbed up. We love your faces. Patron gets you access to After Dark. It's our podcast after the podcast, as well as a sticker and a card. The thoughtful message.
It is a thoughtful
Tyler
message. It's not copy and paste.
Writes it. Nope. They're all different.
My hand. So actually, I have something on that.
Mm-hmm.
Hang on. I didn't organize my notes. I only organized POE notes.
Well, thanks, patrons. We love your faces. And it also gets you After Dark. It's more of us. More podcasty stuff.
It's true. Michael, one of our new patrons of the last couple of weeks, will be quite aware of how personalized the messages are, because I have a spreadsheet to make sure that, I'm like people that have their addresses put in for Patreon, they get the thank you card. And so obviously I don't want anybody to get skipped. So we keep track, and I'm updating it. And for some reason, Michael's wasn't updated. And I'm like, well, what happened? Did he not put his address in? Did he not do something? Maybe he added it later. Why would people above and below? And I'm like, wow, how did Michael get missed? So I wrote Michael a card this week along with Matt. So thank you again, Matt, for signing up. And then it ends up that I was like, oh no, maybe that sounds kind of familiar. Maybe not. Because I'm writing the address on the envelope, and I'm like, oh, that sounds familiar. So anyway, I want to make sure that Michael got a card because Michael got missed, but then it ends up that Michael didn't get missed. Now Michael's going to get 2 cards. So now Michael can see the difference between the 2 welcome cards. Yeah, Michael, maybe watch. This is going to be the beginning of Michael's split personality. Each individual personality is going to accept their card individually and be thankful and fight with the other one about what's said.
The only reason we even know that he's getting a second one is because the delay in mailing them is on me. And
which is it's not always the case. That's not a safe word to say, but it's often.
I get them from Ty, and I get them ready, and sometimes I don't get them ready right away, and then I look and I go, oh shit, there's 4 that need to go out. So that's how we found out. Also, his second card though is going to be delayed because when I got the prints done for the stamps, I didn't count. There was 1 extra card I had not accounted for, so I didn't send his second one yet because we needed another one to go out. So it will come. And this was our last
in 5 months. So anyone who signed up in the last 4 years, your cards are finally in the mail.
Now they're only 5. That was the last round of extra Christmas cards too. I threw in extra Christmas cards for those ones because we had some left over.
Thanks. Envelopes.
Oh yeah, I gotta get some envelopes. I have them somewhere. I just gotta find them. Anyway, also our Discord rocks and Global 2121 rocks.
If you like talking about envelopes and shipping costs, join our Discord.
Yeah, our Discord's awesome. There's a lot of people in there, and there's conversations. It spans everything. There's Path of Exile.
It does.
There's food. There's books, which I gotta talk about a book. What else? That I don't even know.
Tariffs.
There's sports. Oh yeah.
Off topic. Sports been busy finally. Yes, sports lovers. Anyway, we're not actually trying to promote our Discord or /2121.
100% get in there.
Doesn't do anything for us, whether it's big or small. It's just if you are looking for a place and you think that our personalities and the people that would like us, if you would enjoy that kind of community, it is a fantastic community. If you were looking for one to hang out in, talk about. Of course, Path of Exile, but also everything else that interests you. If you're looking for a place like that, we have an option.
Pop on Discord. The link's in everywhere. It's also on our website if you can't find it. And then Global 2121. It's a great place in game to chat with other players. So, how was your week, Ty? Hey, also, happy birthday, but it's also next week. So I don't know if I do it next week. So you're going to get 2, but happy birthday coming up.
Thanks, Justin. This will be like 4 weeks in a row.
It's your birthday month. You're one of those people. I get it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, I had a good week this week, my friend. And it's Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Today,
happy Valentine's Day.
Day of recording anyway. So
and everybody
for
listening,
those that like to celebrate special relationships, I hope you're having special relationship tingles today. Like in the heart.
Obviously.
In the heart.
And wherever else you find a tingle. Wherever else you find a tingle.
I hope you're just putting it everywhere.
All over.
No. No, I don't know. I didn't like how do you say happy Valentine's Day to somebody? Anyway, Justin and I went out this morning. Well, it was Justin going out, and it
was fun.
I'm so used to not buying my wife flowers because we've had cats since the beginning of our marriage.
I didn't even think about that.
The baby's breath that they put with it is poisonous, but then cats are stupid. I mean, I love cats, but cats are stupid, so they knock stuff over and they start chewing. Yeah. It's all dumb. So she just hasn't had flowers in forever, and so cats are dead. So Justin went out and does his normal ritual, which is a very sweet ritual. And then I'm like, oh, yeah. He invites me along. I like it. We're the kind of people where we like doing like, not like chores, like scrubbing toilets together, but if, like errands, I guess it would be a good way to say it. Like going out. Yeah. Going to Home Depot.
Go do some stuff, pick up some stuff.
Go to the grocery store, flowers. Yeah. Come along.
Go and chat.
Come along, Ty.
Yeah,
come along.
Let's do it.
We enjoy doing that. So when did that?
It was nice and early this morning too. And
it was. Nice. Well, yeah, but that's annoying.
Kids don't have school.
Happy people in the morning, up yours. But
I'm not normally one of them, but today I am.
But today I am. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I bought some flowers and brought them home. And so because I don't normally bring flowers home, even though I'm a gardener, we don't deal too much with the dead flower stuff. So I was teaching them like about the air pockets and bubbles and how to cut them and where to put them and how to feed them. And
cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Anyway, rest of the week was great. Weather we didn't have Arctic winds this week, so it was actually a relatively comfortable winter week. And then next week is spring.
Yeah, that's
according to all of a sudden, like it's almost too late to plant tulips already. So it's yeah. But anyway, it's good, man. How about you? Did you have a good week?
Yeah, it was a good week. Super busy, but yeah, we went out and I picked up some flowers as well. I've always every year gotten my girls flowers on Valentine's Day. Just like ever since they were little, I've always bought something for the boys too, but just like chips or something that they like because the girls are getting flowers. But yeah, I've always bought my girls flowers on Valentine's Day ever since they were babies. I don't remember how it started, but I remember it back then thinking, I'm not letting some douchebag be the first person that gives my girls flowers and they think it's amazing. I'm making it hard. I want to make it work for somebody when they're in their 30s and start dating to impress them. So yeah, I've always done flowers for them and it's fun. They love them. So what else?
Awesome.
Yeah, this week was good. I been working on some stuff health wise and went and saw a naturopath because I've been wanting to. I knew my testosterone was getting low. And, you know, as guys get older, that's just the nature of things. But I could feel it. I could feel it from what I had done like years ago when I went and got stuff tested. And you just get tired and more often and too early and just not feeling super energetic. So I went and saw him, a new one actually. So I'm going to be starting probably next week on some hormone stuff and then working with him on some just eating. Just stuff to be working on because I was having issues in the evenings with my stomach feeling gross and then weight was going all over the place. So I've got that under control, it seems like now. And then I honestly was in meetings almost all week. Like this week was, and what made it awesome is that my youngest was home with a fever all week. And
that's great.
Oh man, and we could not get control of it. It was driving us nuts.
I hate that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was like low fever, and then that low fever every single time was turning into a high fever, and we were trying. So I actually took her. I had a meeting at 11 yesterday out of town. No, 12 at noon out of town, and I was home with my youngest, and then my oldest. I'd skipped him out of school after his first two classes because he had math and English, so I wanted him to go to that, and then he was going to come home and watch her while I had to go to my meeting at noon. And then Christina calls me. She's like, can you take her to the doctor for, what was it, 10:50? I was like, yeah, but like I have to leave by 11:20 to get out of town to get to this place for noon. And so anyway, I took her to the doctor because we were now at 6 days with the fever. And I'm like, this is getting ridiculous. So she had a bit of an ear infection, which she hadn't even really complained about, and a bit of a sinus infection. So we're just going to give her some stuff to try and kick that and get control of the fever. But she's doing better this morning. She's at least got no fever, so that's at least a start. But yeah, you know what? Overall, it was a really good week. I'm sure I'm missing stuff, but it was just, I literally was in meetings this entire week. It was crazy. Went and watched my daughter play skittleball for a little bit.
That's like handball, right?
Yeah, so she had fun doing that. And then I didn't actually play much PoE this week, but I did play. Remember I was talking about, we played Wreckfest. It got me into like wanting to try some sort of car game or something that I could play with controller. So I tried a couple different racing games or car driving type games. So I was playing Forza 4 and I tried Need for Speed Unbound. And then one night I was like, Farming Simulator 25 is out? So that's been it.
Yes.
Back on the farm.
You used to love the old Farming Simulator with your wheel.
Farming Simulator 22. That's what made me first buy a wheel. It was Farming Simulator. Not racing, but farming.
Our F1 group, earmuffs.
Well, I can't use my, I mean, I guess I could use my setup, but I can't use the feet. That's why I can't race with you guys on Mondays, is because the feet is what hurts my back, like the gas and brake.
Yeah.
It's that action with the waist that really hurts it.
Actually, you just screwed yourself.
How so?
Because you could play Formula One with us with a controller. Now that we know you actually bought your wheel set up for Farming Simulator.
No, not this for racing setup. My first Logitech 22, that was for Farming Simulator. My big awesome
it's like
racing
when you start
one,
with the fish tank.
F1.
You start with a small 30-gallon tank. It's good. It's nice. But then you learn about habitats and ecosystems and space and aggression, and you're like, oh, okay, well, that's cool.
I can't imagine
limited here. So you go from a 30-gallon to a 50-gallon to a 60-gallon to a 120-gallon.
No.
It doesn't matter where you upgrade to, Justin. The heart of it is that it's a farming simulator.
Started out with Farming Simulator.
So you can use the formula, you can play on Friday nights with the controller.
I actually debated. Did you switch it to Friday nights?
No, what did I say? Did I say Friday nights? Monday nights.
Okay.
No, we didn't.
I've debated just joining you guys and playing on controller and just dealing with the fact that I'm going to suck. And even Christina told me I need to do it because she can tell that I miss it. And she said when we were
really
playing
mad Tuesday mornings.
No, when we were playing that Wreckfest one, when we were playing Wreckfest together, she's like, I miss the laughing. Like you guys are all just laughing and having a good time. Like I think you need to get back into it. So I may just do it with the controller and just suck up that I'm going to suck.
It sucks.
Yeah.
But it's doable and you can really nail it. And I will show you some of the settings that I play with, that I tweak, the slider bars that are really good.
I feel like it's the control and
your natural experience
is where I'm going to struggle. Like just that sensitivity of what you can do with a wheel. I just don't think I'm going to be able to do it as well on a controller, but
definitely not. It's a very small analog stick. Ian and I used to buy extensions for the left analog stick that would make them taller, so our small thumb movements wouldn't be so dramatic and drastic. But now they also have slider bars. That they've added,
make it like less sensitive or whatever.
Codemasters added them before EA showed up, but either way, yeah. So and they have like 3 different slider bars for like dead zones and latency and sensitivity, and they have that for gas and brake as well.
I'm gonna have to try. I haven't even installed that game. I bought it when we all bought it, and I haven't. It's never even been installed.
That's right.
So
yeah, it sucks, man.
Maybe I'll just, I don't know. I do need to get back into it. Maybe I'll just suck it up and drug myself on Mondays and just. It'll be the Tuesday that would suck, but. Anyway, yeah, week was good. It's I'm working on getting my head space sorted. I'm dealing with obviously a lot of pain, and I cannot do anything about it. So I'm trying to just find ways to work around it.
Different brands of alcohol. See what's best.
Alcohol, I've had to be really careful with because I started getting back into using it to deal with the pain, and it was getting too excessive. So I stopped that.
Okay.
Probably a week or two ago. I not stopped drinking entirely, but just slowed down.
So good for you.
Yeah. I also need to just have a drink and let it do its thing. I was mentioning that to you today. I was just continuing to drink until I felt nothing. And then I didn't feel great and I felt gross in the morning, and being slow in the morning is just the worst feeling.
Yeah, but you won every F1 race when you did that.
Oh, when I drink, let me tell you, I drive in game. Because drunk driving is stupid.
In game.
Don't go driving if you've had stuff to drink, especially if you've had too much to drink. But yeah, in game, I'm just a wizard behind the wheel.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah,
I swear you just have a game genie that does it for you.
I just put my hands back.
That's your thing. Sorry, I was letting my dog in. I can't reach it with the headphones. It's stretched too much. But my dog bed that we normally have in here, we have it in the bedroom.
Oh, okay.
Because we have a high bed or a tall bed, I guess I should say. And my dog can't jump down now. She does, but she shouldn't.
Yeah.
And I don't want the reason we put her down because she screws up her shoulder or her leg as opposed to what's actually bothering her.
Yep.
Stupid blind dog. It's a door that has full glass. The door is full glass that comes into the office. And she's scratching to come in. She can see there's no bed.
Yeah. So did she come in and just look for it and then go, what the?
Now she's clawing to get out just a sec.
Yep.
But I accommodate because I don't think she can see like 2 feet in front of her. So.
Sure.
Anyway, I'm glad you're doing well.
Good week.
Sorry about the pain, but you're making some good choices and you have the energy to make good choices. You're doing well, man. I'm happy for you.
Got to go see my other neurologist pretty soon about the MRI results and figure out if there's anything they can do about that. But it's good. And this week coming up is leads up. The week is crazy and then leads into the worst weekend ever. My whole week up until Monday, the 24th is really gross. But if I can stay in this headspace, I'll be fine.
Cool.
So that's my goal.
Well, I hope you can.
Mm-hmm.
And that's actually a good segue into possible private league conversation. But
obviously.
We're not there yet because I got to tell you about my lawn.
Oh,
I know it's winter and it's rock solid. I haven't done anything.
No, me either.
But Mother Nature is like, Tyler, screw you. You're not meant to have a lawn. Ever since you've had a house, your lawn has been progressively worse and worse.
What happened? I don't get it.
But even now, like, I don't know what it is. My lawn, my yard is shifting so much. Like, I know the moles come by every year. I don't know what it is about my property specifically, but they love my yard. Like, I can't spend $1,200 with like a sand and dirt combo with seed to re-level my lawn every year. That's just not feasible. I don't even know if I do it once. Like, that's just a lot of money. But it's so uncomfortable to walk on. It's so lumpy. And sure, some of it's from the moles and voles that have come, and you try and flatten those out later. So it's fun. The yard's fun to play soccer on or something with the kids, run around and stuff. But it's like, it's seriously like the lawnmower's doing moguls now. I'm not mowing my lawn now, but because it's still frozen, but we can't even close the gate now on the side.
Really?
Because this ground has shifted so much that the gate is surrounded by frozen dirt. I'm just like,
how?
We used to have a flat yard. Now I feel like it's on a 45-degree angle with all the shifting and then the shifting and then the shifting. And we knew some shifting was going to happen after we got the
all the stuff
perimeter drain replaced because we like both yards were just completely dug up.
Yeah,
1 billion feet down and all the way. Anyway, so we knew that shifting was going to happen, but like that stage is done. It should be finished. And like all the weird stuff that's happening every winter now, I don't know what's going on, but I don't know what I'm going to do, man. Like I like having a nice lawn that you can lie on and enjoy the day with, but you can't even put a chair on it and have it. It's just weird. Like I've never had a lawn.
One summer or something, get a couple guys. We could probably do the sand and dirt pretty easily. Like with a bunch of us,
people to do that.
I'll ask for them. I'll do it.
But we're all old and gimpy now.
Yeah, I know. We'll all be gimpy together. I've got like a leveler. We could just take little shifts, hang out on the deck. We'll have some drinks and just take turns raking it. It's really easy to do.
Well, I'll start smoking that weekend, so I have something to do while all my friends are doing my work for me.
Yeah, but you just oversee. I remember one time when we did our retaining wall. I had to redo the retaining wall on the left side of the house if I'm looking at the front of it. Anyway, we had to redo that retaining wall. And so Chris was awesome and came and helped. And then buddy Brent came over and helped too. But I was trying to help. And we're talking like the big blocks. Yeah. Freaking heavy. Anyway, I back then was not in where I was now, knowing about what my back was doing, and threw it out while I was trying to help them to the point where I couldn't walk. Like I was actually bent over and I couldn't move. And I remember they were still doing it. I felt so bad because I'm in the house on the ground, drugging myself, and then like coming out every now and then to be like, thank you. Like I could not even walk. So you could just do that.
It's tough.
Just wave us on.
Okay. Thanks.
But I think we could do it. If we get it wouldn't cost then that much at all. Because we just have to get some sand.
It's just amazing to me how much the land is manipulating itself.
I mean, I feel like
it
that
is
probably does make sense, because how long ago was it? It was only a couple years ago that you had the work
That was
done.
2022.
Yeah, so I mean, you're talking
This
only
is year
2
3.
full years.
I
Where
guess
this
you're
could
right,
settle
but
over
it's
time.
like
right?
we're not talking like sinking.
No,
we're
but
talking
just
like
settling in different spots.
45-degree angles now. All of a sudden, like it's crazy.
Hmm.
I don't know. Maybe that's it. Maybe that is it. And I just maybe it just feels like it's a lot longer away. Maybe you make a good point.
We'll do it. I'm up for it.
Yeah. Thank you, Justin.
My lawn's nothing. It's just covered still in partial snow and frozen, and but it's nice and short, and it's still green. So good enough.
Right on.
Green and white. Okay,
Green
private
and white.
league stuff. Let's talk about that. Because
Well, you want to do Path of Exile 1 or Path of Exile 2 first? You want to do PL?
Let's. I don't care. Let's. I mean, 1's got more to talk about right now. PoE 2s, we're just still waiting for 0.2 to come out. We've obviously.
If that's even the next patch.
I think it probably will be. I bet you they're waiting until that one now with everything. However, it seems like they were like, we made a mistake. Everybody to PoE 1, because holy crap,
so
there's
weird.
so much stuff that they've got. This is not an event. This feels like a league. Like they've got a trailer and a reveal coming up for it. Like that's a league. That's not.
It's so like I'm happy
It's
for all
great.
the PoE 1 people, and it makes sense because PoE 1 should always have been consistently being Path of Exile 1 since,
especially until
all of this
PoE 2 is
started,
fully
because-
released.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
So like it makes sense, but it's just so I don't like I good. That's great. And for I said last week, people have been making fun of me in Discord, and I think it's hilarious. But like, I think it was just the last few weeks where you've been asking me, "Hey Ty, you can come? You seriously not going to play Path of Exile 1 ever again?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not going to." Like, it was it drove me nuts just as much as I liked it.
I think we both
but
had said we weren't going to go back to PoE 1,
Yeah.
and then
but because Path of Exile 2 is just going to be a better version eventually, none of us actually thought that it would, like, that they would actually change so much of Path of Exile that Path of Exile 2 even had a possibility of being worse than Path of Exile 1. You know what I mean? And
I don't think
even
it's
with that,
worse than 1. I just not flushed
I'm not
out.
saying that it is or not. There's a possibility
Flushed out.
because of the amount of changes that they've made that it is worse for some people, right? Now, I haven't liked my experiences so far, but that's just because of what's been released so far and what's available. It just doesn't suit my personality, so that's fine. Just waiting for, like you said, 0.2 or whenever else other options come up for me. But it was still like I was still in a PoE 2 only mindset. And so now that PoE 1 is coming out with these
Massive
test for fun
things,
alternate ascendancies, but even not alternate ascendancies, but no Atlas passive tree, right? A completely different investment into your end game experience.
Cool.
Yeah. And
Man, maybe we're going to have to try it.
well, but here's the thing. Then all of a sudden I start getting tagged a little bit. And
There's the zombie stuff.
Zombie specific nodes for a Templar, not for a witch, for a Templar. I'm actually going to be getting everything all mixed up because how do I I'm going to like jump all over the place, but I'm going to try and say it in a proper order. But yeah, so people start like clipping, the zombie specific nodes for the, what is it called? The puppeteer ascendancy.
I don't know. I haven't actually.
And I think people are getting excited for it, but I think they're going to suck. It's still zombies, right? It's still strike only zombies until you find a zombie of slamming. You know what I mean? Adding +4 levels to a skill that really sucks. It's going to make the skill less sucky. It doesn't make it great. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I still think I'm going to have summon phantasms with it, but I'm still excited to try it because there's some other cool nodes that supplement a more improved zombie experience within that. Like there's a lot of different cool nodes to select. And the nice thing about it is not all of them interest me. So it's not like the most absurd choice. Like I basically, after looking, 2 zombie nodes, I like those both, guaranteed picks. And then there was 2 that just matched it perfectly. I'm like, awesome. I can play it once. You know what I mean? I kind of like that sometimes where I like it when there's a lot of good options and it's tough to always pick. But at the same time, when it comes to ascendancies, especially with the direction ascendancies are going in Path of Exile 2, it's just like, nah, I'm just going to pick it and go. You know what I mean? Like, I don't actually want a lot of options. If like another, I don't know. Anyway, I'm rambling because it's actually easier to respec in Path of Exile too.
Way easier. Well, respec ascendancies, yes.
Your ascendancy nodes, yes. So that last point doesn't make sense. But anyway, so now, even though I said I'm never going to play Path of Exile 1 again, I see this and I'm like, all right, fine. I'll try it. I'll see what it's like playing with an enhanced zombie experience. So I started downloading Path of Exile 1 on the console. And then it's already downloaded and I share the picture with the community, tell them, fine, I'm succumbing. But then I realized, wait, I don't play. It's not cross-platform.
No.
I can't play on my Xbox with the community. So I'm like, crap. So then I uninstall it. And then, I've installed it again on the PC. But I'm getting the games all mixed up already. Like no cross-platform, right? So I got to play on PC. When the new league comes out, that means my wife and I will be sharing the computer again, which she's going to absolutely hate. And then even I loaded up my character just to familiarize myself because I made some last changes to my build so that it was more accommodating for people if they were going to play, because I wasn't going to update the build anymore online. And so I loaded up and I'm like, I'm in my hideout and I'm just hitting B, 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 B. And I'm like, oh yeah, there's no roll, because I was just going to roll everywhere as I was checking stuff out. And I'm like, no, I can't roll. I'm just casting a skill the whole time. I'm like, dang it. So it's so funny how quickly, I mean, now granted, again, it's been since December 6th that I haven't played. Now I played Path of Exile for a long time, a decade, but it's funny how quickly your brain just goes like, boop.
Totally. Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to this because there's specifically something about zombies in there. And that's only because the skill that I played for so long actually has something that's possibly going to enhance the experience a bit. So I'm curious to play with it. That being said, there's already like one of the only ways to play such a crappy skill like zombies was to have this minion leech, and going without the necro, you don't get the minion leech anymore. So what's my survivability going to be like? I highly doubt +4 zombies is going to do much for me in that regard. So we'll have to see. But all that being said, the community was asking for a private league, and we were like, maybe,
we originally thought
not.
Because we had said we weren't going to until my feeling towards PoE 2 versus PoE 1, because we have said it. And somebody asked me, or asked both of us, I think in Patreon, they said they don't understand why we are just so against playing PoE 1. And I did respond, and I was just like, for me, I've just played it since 2012 or 2013, and I want something new, and I'm excited for PoE 2. But the fact is, PoE 1's getting some pretty substantial fun changes. It's not just a new league, like they're really changing how the game's going to be played with regards to your character build. So I don't feel like I definitely did say once PoE 2 came out, I didn't see myself going back to PoE 1. We said that unless PoE 2 was bad, and PoE 2 is not bad. I actually really do enjoy PoE 2, but the fact is in PoE 2, I feel like I've kind of done what is around in PoE 2 that exists right now. So I don't have a big drive to keep playing it because I've done the stuff that I've done, plus farming simulators out there now. So I feel the same way. I probably will. People are asking about private league, and we talked about it, and I think it's going to be a fun idea to do it for this event. I think my only struggle is grinding gear games. Like they're very, I don't know what the word is, but they're not very upfront about their information. So all we know is that at some point after the league's released, they'll allow the private leagues with this same features. So I won't play till we do a private league with I'm not going to play it when it first comes out, but once we can do a private league, we're going to do a private league again and have some fun.
Yeah, and depending on what the timelines are, if you are into our private league, we don't we announce it on our podcast, but then all the other information's on our Discord. So
it may be somewhat last
join
minute.
The Discord.
It may not be
right.
like a
it
super
might be
long
last minute. So if joining our private league is something that interests you, we'll make sure that there's space, so you don't have to worry about that. If there's 100 people in the private league and you're on a waiting list, don't worry. We might do some community funding. We just only check once a day.
Slots though this time, which we haven't done before, but we are going to have one. We will have a private league, a Forever Exile private league with this new whatever it's called, Freesha. I don't know how you're actually supposed to say it, but yeah, I think it'll be fun. It'll be fun to try something a little bit different. I haven't looked at any of the ascendancies, like the stuff you told me. All I've ever seen is stuff that maybe I just happened to catch because they tagged you, but I didn't look through all of the different ones. And that was mostly because
Sure.
at the time I wasn't planning on playing it anyway. I just thought it was cool for PoE1 players. But
19 new ones at once is a lot to go through in one sitting.
Yeah.
So it's basically like the first one you come across that excites you is the one you do. But yeah, so for anybody listening, if you want to join, this is our announcement. If you want to join our private league, we don't know when it's going to start. So join the Discord now, and then you'll see when the announcement channel highlights, and that'll be when we start it. We're not going to give the most notice. It's not top of our priority list.
It's the only time we also tag everyone in Discord. So if you don't like everyone tags, it's the only time we ever do it is for a private league. So you can disable that if you don't like that, but that's where it'll be. It'll be in the announcement channel, and it may be a relatively short notice. It may be a couple days, because the fact is we don't know yet when the release is coming for this Freaka, and then we also don't know when after it's released they're going to allow private leagues. But I want to have the private league relatively quick once they announce when we can do them, just because that's when I'm going to start playing it. So yeah.
What do you think? Just solo self-found, hardcore?
I think we just go hardcore. I don't think we need to do solo self-found. I think hardcore, we keep hardcore, but let's let people trade. Let people group up. It's a fun community thing. People want to be in groups.
I guess all the builds are new. Skills aren't, but the builds are like the ascendancies. So sure. Yeah. Okay.
I think we keep hardcore because you gotta have some penalty to death, and then we still have, because then we can also do the legend status in Discord, which we haven't been able to do for a while. Sure. So we'll be bringing back the rewards for looking awesome in Discord and bragging and flexing. So if you have that if you've been sitting on just that legend and uber legend status, you're about to possibly lose it. Just FYI. But it should be fun. We will do a private league, so keep an eye out for the announcement channel. And people won. All right. Discord, you won. You got us to do it. We're going to do it. It's going to be fun.
I think private leagues will be available right away. It's just adding some of the...
No, they said specifically that it's...
They said that private league options will be available sometime after the event, so you can experiment with these options longer.
Yeah, but I think that's what it means. These options is this new thing.
Oh, see, I'm reading that as they're going to add new options like modifiers.
No, because
where you can have these alternate ascendancies to them, so you can play with them longer.
I don't think so.
This is only for a duration.
I don't know.
So
I guess we'll find out. But you'll find out on announcements, because we won't know until we know. And when we know, we'll be starting it.
We know, you know.
Yep. So yeah, we'll do it. It's going to be fun. Keep an eye out for the announcement channel. And we'll do another private league within Path of Exile. That's it.
Yay.
So, I mean, there was a bunch of PoE1 news, but I didn't read any of it with regards to all these different ascendancies or different things going on. I have to say, I don't know why it's all of a sudden now that they've gotten into this like PoE1 new ascendancy thing ever since like Jonathan's last sorry video, and then they switched gears and went PoE1.
Right.
All of a sudden they're now also actively like posting stuff. I just pulled up their Twitter because I never looked at it.
It's like GGG's actually back, and Path of Exile, like this is just what it looks like. I know this isn't the case. It's not a complaint. It's just you go from saying Path of Exile 2 is the only place we can spend our resources. I know I'm paraphrasing, just handle it. Sorry, I'm not talking to Justin. I'm talking to our listeners. But if so, GG goes from saying Path of Exile 2 is too important right now. It's taking all of our resources. We're sorry that this is the case. It wasn't supposed to be the case. We'll touch Path of Exile 1 when we can. Out of nowhere, with nothing else, all of a sudden, we start getting Path of Exile 1 stuff. Hey, check out these new ascendancies. Hey, check out this. Hey, check out that. The Twitter or X starts getting active again. They're coming out with like lots of teasers. The announcement page starts filling up, which it was like dead for forever. It's so weird.
There's like that it's not even just their announcements. I pulled up their Twitter just this morning when we were getting started because I wanted to see. And there's just 16 hours ago they posted that it's Valentine's Day. They're coming out with some lovely fireworks in Path of Exile 1 to celebrate the occasion. But the little gift that they have for it is really funny and clever. It's got in Path of Exile 2, you remember where you stabbed the heart in Act 3 to get the points? So they've got a gif of a character stabbing the heart, and then you know the song Shot Through the Heart?
Yes.
they have the words stab through the heart and you're to blame. You give love 2 additional passive points. Like I was like, it's clever. It's funny. This is what I just, this is, I think Bex when I see stuff that's coming out that's like just engaging and whatever. So, I mean, props to them for it. I do like seeing them a little bit more active, even if it's just for fun stuff.
Acknowledging the special occasions. Like they missed Christmas, they missed New Year's. And those are 2 normally things where they're very active with their community or thankful with their community or acknowledging their community. And they, like, for whatever was going on in the background there, they, like, Christmas,
they just fell off.
They forgot about Christmas. They forgot about New Year's. And so it's almost like they're back. Like something so insignificant as Valentine's Day gets recognition. So again, not criticisms, just observations. But, and you look at the patches, like the hot fixes, there hasn't been a lot of actually big patches in Path of Exile 2, even though it's been 2.5 months. But you have a lot of hot fixes. But at the same time, you get all this activity and it's only Path of Exile 1. And you start thinking, and you're like sitting there with Path of Exile 2, and you're like, but what about us? You know what I mean? It's so funny how it can fluctuate so quickly. You go from like, they're only Path of Exile 2, and they're taking heat for not being Path of Exile 1. Now they're all, I mean, again, just from a marketing standpoint or posting standpoint, then it's all of a sudden only Path of Exile 1. You're going to get some people that are like, hey, what about us and Path of Exile 2? So
I'm curious what they decided
lose
internally.
Situation. Right. Yeah. I wonder what the twist was. Where was the priority switch?
Well, I know why they switched. They switched because people freaked out. That's it's pretty obvious that they had some pushback from their announcement that they weren't going to be doing anything. But what I'm curious about internally is like, you're bringing out this big event that you're pushing like crazy. If you're as a company, you've been working on 0.2 for Path of Exile 2, do you just come out with 0.2 as soon as it's ready? What happens if that lines up with around the time that you're coming out with this new event? Is that affecting where people are playing? Like, does this now Freaka push 0.2 further along than when they were originally planning to bring it out to us for PoE2? So, I don't know.
And you think 19 new ascendancies aren't going to have major glitches?
Who cares?
Wow. GGG would.
I don't think so.
They still want it. Yeah, they want it to be playable. If their priority is now switching to Path of Exile 1 is our baby.
Well, I don't think they are.
And this is a new league.
I think that,
I don't know.
My hope is what they did here is they went, here's the group that's going to go to PoE 1. Just go and have some fun. We want to test some stuff out for PoE 2, but I mean, if stuff is broken, we'll fix it as we go. But I first off, there's a very high likelihood it's been wickedly tested when this comes out with all these new ascendancies. You can't have 19 new ascendancies come out this quickly and have had a team that's been able to actively test all of the scenarios that, could come up with it. So I feel like it's more for fun.
I think so as well. And I really I hope they don't care about balance. Like if one ascendancy is absurdly strong compared to other ones that are absurdly weak,
they don't need to be balanced.
Or don't think that they would care about that at this stage. It would just be like if it's working or not. Like, these, like, I know it's silly. I always bring up zombies, but is this +4 zombies actually adding +4? They don't care if the +4 is a big enough
but they
or
can
low
fix
enough
that
number.
Probably pretty quick. Like that kind of stuff.
Hopefully, but there's there's 19 new ones, man, and don't forget the Ascendant. Like it's a lot of changes. But then you also have the functionality of Endgame actually changing, which is another one of those really surprising things. But I think that's a really cool idea because it's almost like a Waystone idea.
I didn't even look at what it is. Can you tell me how it works? Do you know?
No, I can't. I barely looked at it because I don't care.
Yeah, I'll figure it out as we play because I haven't looked into any of it. But it's obviously a pretty big testing ground for them for PoE2, and I think it's good if they're just letting them go and go. And the one thing it was going to be interesting though is how long do they run the event for? Because when 326 comes out, all of that stuff's gone and changed back. You would imagine,
right?
So,
but that's what I was thinking they meant about the private league comment. Like this is going to be around for now. But because we know ascendancies are so rad and having that extra 19, you'll want to play with them longer than we're doing the event. Yep. We're going to add those 2 private league options so you can play with them longer.
But that's what they said will be later. And that's why I'm not sure that you can, I think that will be an option when you create a private league. And they're saying that will be released sometime after the event, which means we couldn't make a private league using the event settings. So, I mean, we'll see.
I will bet you nothing.
You're on.
That
I'll
I'm
take
right.
it. You're
okay.
definitely.
You're toast. I'm
already
so
know
excited.
right.
Oh, I'm going to be rich.
Anyway,
so I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Did you collude
with
GGG to have a Templar with zombie-specific nodes?
Why
did you message somebody at some point and be like, hey, listen, if you guys are scraping for ideas, my buddy Ty said he was never coming back and he's a zombie-only player. Could you do something with
Templar
that?
would have been the thing that brought you back?
Well, because I always complain about I don't even remember what the class is. Is it Witch?
Mm-hmm.
Is it the Witch that has the Elementalist, the Necromancer, and the Occultist? Is that Witch? Okay. I don't know. I always complained that it was boring. Like, because
but you're going to complain that Templar is boring. Come on.
No. Well, okay. The one Templar ascendancy that I really liked, I did find boring, but it had been so exciting in the past. The Guardian I don't know if it has been, but it feels like it's the most changed ascendancy over time through the history of Path of Exile. Like it's been steady for long seasons, but there's been some dramatic changes to it. Like when the Heralds were first introduced, it had a full branch of just Herald stuff, right? And I mean, there's been the link skills come out. They're like, what do we do with link skills? Well, throw it on the Guardian, right? You know what I mean? Like there just wasn't, it's just been in an odd place. And so I've always loved the concept of that support style ascendancy because yes, I'm playing my minions. So I'm supporting my minions, but then because I'm already being an ally supporter, it just benefits whenever I jump in to play with somebody else too, right? So I've always liked that aspect, but the nodes to me were always so boring. Strong with absurd investment, but I'd never have the time for that kind of investment. And so there was only ever 2 nodes that really interested me, especially since they changed it to having like the auto minions that they have, the 3 unique elemental sentinels and the beefy righteous fire character, that sentinel.
Big dude.
Those neat ideas, but definitely don't suit any of my preferences either. So it's just one of those things where it's kind of like the extra tease, the extra nail is that it's Templar.
I mean, at least Templar's not super far from minion stuff, right? Like Templar's
and in
contrast, or duelist or something.
Yes, exactly. And in contrast, there's to Path of Exile 1, the starting nodes in Path of Exile 2 are very strong, right? And in the current state, you need that damage that's available to you right away. Well, for me anyway, because I start as a sorcerer, so I'm desperate for that extra damage, so I do have to take that. Whereas in Path of Exile 1, I almost just take the travel nodes all the time. Skip all those starting nodes, I'm going to other stuff. And so it's the same 3 nodes that I'm using to use the same tree, so... Yeah, no, it's exciting. I think it's funny, but I was just joking in my mind that you colluded with GGG to add these zombie nodes. Like, fine. Yeah. Tyler's done. Yeah, we'll see about that.
We'll see about that. I got to get back to keyboard and mouse, though, because I'm not going to play PoE 1 with controller.
That's right.
So I'm going to have to go back.
And controller's quite different between both games, too. So even if when I'm using controller support, it's not like, the same. Dodge. Well, even the buttons for like going between tabs as opposed to moving the tab, they're opposite.
Oh,
do you know how long it took me to stop moving my tabs instead of just going to my tabs in PoE 2? So I'm getting used to it though. And in PoE 2, they have made some the last change they did where you were pointing out that they made some controller changes.
I never tested them.
I've found inventory to be a lot less clunky. Still work needs to be done, but it still like has the same rules, but I think they've just made it smarter. You know what I mean?
Cool.
When you're finished with a session, all of a sudden you were like, I didn't yell at my screen once regarding inventory. That's good.
I need to try it and check it out.
I've been playing Sims a lot lately. I've discovered that it's the perfect chores game because I like to play fully autonomous. And, you know, I only wake them up at 5 a.m. to do the things they need to do to make sure that they get an income, and then they go and do their autonomous day. So it's become a perfect chores thing. And I load it up, and Sims is loaded with bugs, right? It's EA. And so I'm doing my laundry, and Erin says it's funny. She says I yell at the TV so much more now because, like, dude, it's taken you 2.5 hours to take a piss and eat your breakfast. Let's go. I need you to, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like always yelling at my autonomous Sims. So ever since I've started Sims, I've started to have less verbal self-control with my other games as well. My daughter's first swear word came from me because she was around when I was playing Madden, and goodness me, that was an infuriating game.
Did I see you can't play it anymore? Madden? What? Wasn't Madden the one that you were saying you can't play anymore? Was that the one you were posting in the chat about them changing something with EA Play, or you have to now buy the game?
Oh, no, I think they just have a disclaimer up there for EA Play members so that EA has the right to remove games from their EA Play library anytime they want. Mm-hmm. And I think they're putting that disclaimer in the game.
Well, it's good generic. To put a disclaimer it makes it seem in the like game. You're grinding gear games.
Yes, that's right. GGG, 100%. But it's too generic.
Jesus,
like
they
definitely need to change.
Come on.
Yeah, I know, right? I know. But honestly, that's the only thing EA puts money into, man, is making sure they're legally sound.
Oh, okay.
Oh, my goodness. The contingencies that they go through. Like anyway.
I didn't realize how all the licensing stuff works, just to go way off topic, but I wanted to play Forza, and Forza 5 is out, and Forza 4 can no longer be purchased. And I was like, why can't I buy Forza 4 anymore? And it's because the licensing runs up on, I guess, the cars or some sort of licensing they have. So I had to cheat in a little bit where you could buy a code for Xbox, like an old code that works for it. And then you can just use the redeem code thing. But yeah, it's interesting how licensing stuff works for that.
Yeah, it does. Well, it costs so much. Like EA would pay, and we're talking like 20 years ago, well, not 20 years ago, 15 years ago, EA would pay the NFL $500 million. $500 million just for the NFLPA contract, where and that was an exclusive contract, but they were the only ones that could use the real names and the real teams, real stadiums, all that kind of. $500 million for 5 years.
Imagine how much they were
$100 million
making.
a year. Well, that's the thing, though. They paid $500 million so they could be the only NFL.
Yeah, so they were definitely making
people, right? But they would do that with FIFA. That's why you had Winning 11 with all these fake teams that would have to go the non-fear route of purchasing individually from every single individual team, like Man U and Chelsea, individually getting those rights. Like it was just, they're just bullies in the market. I mean, it makes them money, but anyway. So it's just with the controller stuff. I have been noticing a change. Like I've been trying to log in, and there's only been one build out of all the different builds I have in PoE 2. I'm in the mood for them at different stages, but I've only been in the mood for one so far, like this past week and a bit. And so I've been playing, but I'm stuck on the one boss that, like, in the Titan's Grotto, the one that walks up to the platform. It's still very glitchy. Yeah, me too. But it's still extremely glitchy and needs a lot of balance work. And I'm not at a state where I'm care about forcing myself to play. Like, if the game sucks, the game sucks. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And if it's sucking where I'm at right now, I'm fine waiting till it gets touched. Like, I'm not in a hurry. I know the game will be good at some point.
I think not even, you don't mean so much that it sucks. It's just whether you're having fun or not. Because I think if you're not having fun, don't play it.
I need to do this boss, right? I know there's other things I can do, but I need to do this boss. And so I'm playing and I'm fighting the boss, and I'm fine. Like, I know the boss well, but all of a sudden it stops taking damage. Sometimes it stops taking damage for a long period of time. So I just die and restart the fight. I noticed
that it doesn't take damage. That's crazy.
And then and I noticed this because I do dots, right? Like the decaying hex, you see the hex apply, enfeeble, and the monster has this green thing around it. And then you can see the damage numbers going down, 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 down. But then there's just periods of time where it like, no matter the skill I'm using, just it doesn't move. The health bar doesn't move.
Interesting.
So but sometimes it clicks back on, and I can start doing damage again. I'm just playing, right? I just keep going and going and going. So I'm like, oh shoot, okay, well, let's play for 2 minutes and see if it starts taking damage again. Sometimes it takes damage the whole fight, and that's fine. But the only part that I really have trouble with outside of the boss not actually taking damage is those bots that come in.
Mm-hmm. Logan hated those.
Yeah, because they chill you and explode and they shock you. But like, I have a charm that deals with that, but it's only 2. And they come at you like, remember, I'm a sorcerer, so I'm relatively weak. And so I can't kill them fast enough. I have to dodge and dance around, and okay, fine. That's how ads work in a boss fight. But by the time they're dead, new ones are coming. Mm-hmm. Like the second they start, that phase starts in the boss fight, I'm not fighting the boss at all. I'm just fighting the ads, because as soon as those ads are done, the new ones are coming in, and then the new ones are coming in. And it's just too frequent, but I'm already out of charms, like, and I have to, like, I'm running for my life because I can't get frozen. And so it's fine. Like, whatever, that boss fight will get tweaked. But after my 5th attempt, you know, I'm dying and the boss has a 20th of their life left for the 4th time in a row. I'm like, turn on another game. Mm-hmm. So, but through all that, though, I have noticed, and sometimes what I'll do just for the sake of fun, I'll restart the actual grotto area, not just the boss, but, you know, I'll fight up to it so that I can actually earn some XP. Yeah. Right? Because restarting from a checkpoint at a boss fight, you're not earning anything. And man, they did such a cool job with the auto targeting options.
Oh,
so I've been playing with it, and the ranged options that I originally misread as ranged attacks only, it's just ranged. Mm-hmm. And another thing for me to think about now with my builds is I keep forgetting the evasion is about projectiles in general, not attacks. It's projectile specific. And I love that because I remember complaining about that in PoE 1. But now I'm like, oh, shoot. Yeah, okay, frost bolts, that can be evaded now. It's not a guaranteed hit anymore. So it's tough, especially if I go back to playing the private league and then I come back to this game. I'm going to be all discombobulated and screwed up. Mm-hmm. But so I go through and I'm playing, and the auto targeting has 3 different options, right? It's like, do you want it to focus on the closest enemy to you? Do you want it to focus on groups? Do you want it to focus on the direction that your character is facing? And you can check or uncheck each or all of those 3. It's not just one option. Cool. You can have all 3 checked, only 2, only 1. I don't know if you can have none checked. So I unchecked the one where the direction that my character is facing, sure. And I have had very little to complain about, which is really cool. There's one where it's about the closest enemy, which I actually like the simplicity of that, because you can angle your character around. Sure. You know, if you're facing the closest enemy and that's who you're aiming at, you can angle your character to manipulate your projectiles, if they're piercing or AoE, whatever, to accommodate the group. Right? Okay, where can I maximize my damage with this group if I'm piercing, like with Frostbolt? So I am going to play around after I eventually beat this boss. I'm going to play around with just seeing what each section is like. I'm not going to do it now because I hate the grotto area. The long spiders with the massive reach, but you can't really see them. And then the long damage that comes from farther away. And it's just not a fun area. So after I eventually beat the grotto boss, I'm really excited to go through those. Cool. But I have had very little complaints about it by simply removing the top check mark, which was
where you're facing.
Yes.
That is good because especially the way you and I play, we're not using the right analog to aim. So I'm almost very rarely facing exactly where I would want the skill to go off.
That's right. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that like the manual aiming. Sure. But for me, and I think it's smart to have that option on controller. But for me, the difference between WASD and being on controller is not doing the aiming. Yep. You know what I mean? That's the biggest deal for me. And of course, the comfort of where all my buttons are.
Yeah. But lose too many buttons.
Yeah. So it's been pretty cool. And another thing, though, that I was thinking about, but this is kind of getting into the third-party app bit again. And our Discord's been a little bit busy with people's opinions regarding where GGG should throw their resources and where their responsibilities are per se based on the products that they create. So we're getting back into, should GGG do a better job with their third party situation, right? Coming up with more first party QOL, right? As opposed to requiring, quote unquote, different third party things to make the game better. So GGG adds 19 new ascendancies. Now that's really cool. All they have are pictures. Now, again, good. Like, it's nice that we can look at those. But that's almost, to me, emphasizing their dependency on third-party planners.
What do you mean?
You release 19 new ascendancies. Mm-hmm. What's the first thing people are going to do? They want to see what they're up against. They want to see what that's like. They want to see what it is. Sure, pictures could work, but every single person is like, path of building. I got to see how this works. And there's like nothing except for a picture that the company puts out. Granted, with the current scheme of things, like nothing's changed from 324, 325, moving on to this league. Like nothing's changed. So, but it's just one of those things. Like if GGG does make these changes, or you go into Path of Exile 2 and you have 36 ascendancies, right? And then you change, let's say you change 8 of them all at once. What does the company do to help you understand these ascendancies more outside of pictures? It's so kind of like brought back their...
What do you think that they should have, though? Because I think the dependency on path of building is fine. I think a lot of games, ARPG wise, have some sort of online builders that they don't typically aren't the ones that make and people have created. And I don't think that that's necessarily bad in a game that's that big to need to use something else for planning out a build.
I have no problem at all with third-party planners. I think they're fantastic, and a lot of the times they are better. But a picture?
Well, what else would they do right now?
You have a passive tree on your website. Actually let them explore on a passive tree. Like they have
this stuff come out for Path of Building?
The passive tree on the Path of Exile one. Oh yeah, and they already did. And so huge kudos to them because that's a lot of work. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
It's nice. Yeah, it's really so good for them. And thank you very much for all that hard and quick work. But my point is, like, on the Path of Exile website, they have a Path of Exile tree. Like, that to me is bare minimum. You do that and you give people at least less of a dependency on, people are still going to use Path of Building, but they're not going to need Path of Building. You know what I mean?
Maybe.
Like, I think
you do.
I really think the Path of Exile website needs a tree that you can click on and highlight and look at. The game's just too big. It needs that. It really does.
I don't know what the work is that's involved with that. I don't mind the third party for that. It was funny. So we talked last week and I just not jokingly, but just talked about the idea of having something like Filter Blade in game and, you know, just make it. And so, I mean, listen, props to a lot of people in Discord who are way smarter than me and are developers and understand UI, UX, all these different words. And I read what they had to say and I was laughing to myself because my response in my head was like, I don't care. I'm just telling you what I want to see. Like, I get that it's hard. I don't understand how it works. So there are some things I wish that we saw in game. I don't care if something means that it's hard on the UI or UX people to make. I'm just talking about what I think would be cool. But the fact is, Path of Exile is always going to be a game that requires third-party something. Whether that's building, whether that's filters, I don't think we're ever getting away from that. I just think, you know, that I just don't think that's ever going to not be the case. And I think it's cool that they actually got those out on POB, though. That I didn't know that. So
yeah,
does POB work with Path of Exile 2 yet? I don't even know that either.
Like, they have a separate POB for Path of Exile 2, but yes, they do. And I just want to emphasize, like, I'm not saying GGG needs to do this now. This is, like I said at the beginning, so just hopefully any of our, like, half listeners didn't half listen to that part, but I'm not saying, like, GGG isn't doing anything different now than they're doing before. Like, it's not a criticism like they're doing less or they should have done something different for this. I'm just saying, in general, with changes, because you're going to be tripling or doubling the amount of ascendancies you have, you just got to think about what that's like for the user experience. You know what I mean? And GGG does have a website, or on their website, they do have their passive tree, but you can't click on it. All you can do is highlight. Right. And so I'm just saying, like, if these kind of changes, I get that this is temporary, but I'm just saying, if, like, small changes, the more you have in the game, the more change that is for the user. You know what I mean? And I just think the basics of being able to explore that, like an interactable passive tree on the website, I think solves a lot of those debates regarding dependency on third-party sites.
I think
not having it as like a builder with all the crazy stats, just an interactable tree that you can save as a URL.
I think if you had the passive tree where you could click it and plan out a build just by seeing the skills you're going through, that's not a terrible idea. But yeah, I agree. You can't, not one that has like all the POB type stats that you would get.
Yeah.
But I mean, I still think in the end yes, it's cool, but I actually think in the end it's relatively useless because people are still going to lean on third-party ones that give them all of the data and the information. So maybe fun as an interactive thing and for people to get used to the idea of using it. But I still think there's just such a big value to those POB style planners.
100%. 100%. I do think a lot of the times people overanalyze the stats because paper stats versus gameplay stats are
play less
very different worlds.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think that there's a lot of skills or setups that get nixed when they really shouldn't because of the difference between the value of a paper stat and an in-game stat. So I think, and this is just a principle thing, it's not, or a perspective thing, it's not a criticism to third-party stuff at all, but I do think users Hopefully PoE 2 allows a lot more in-game creativity once it's all said and done and ready to be fully released, because I think PoB, just the amount of stats, people throw away really good builds because it's tough to see the difference between on paper and in real game. But I love, like, PoE or PoE Planner, which I like because it's super on mobile. It is coming out with a version for PoE 2 as well. They're working on it, and I'm really excited for it.
Were you having a problem with them with something? Was it
with my builds and save stuff, but it's still something where it's like I can load up I can still save new ideas, new trees, new things. So I can go through kind of like what Maxroll has right now, but it's absolutely horrendous on something that's slow, like a Chromebook or a phone.
I also loaded it once and it's just ads everywhere.
Oh, it's garbage. I can't wait for it to get replaced. So I was super stoked when PoB 2 came out, but I'm really excited for PoE 2 or PoE Planner 2 to come out, whatever they're going to call it, or if it's going to be the same app, I don't know. But then it gets me thinking, like, that's just the basics. I don't even need the skills portion of that, which I think PoE Planner does a phenomenal job with that, but just the basics of a tree. Like, I think the basics of this for all of me, my personal thing, is that GGG needs to come out with a way for people to play with a tree. That's their biggest thing. Like, when you think GGG, when you think PoE, you just think this massive, massive tree. To give people a way to play with a tree while they're on the go, while they're on your website, whatever it is, I think that's like the best of the base minimum, and people would have almost nothing to argue in terms of third-party apps after that. Again, I'm a solo cell phone player. I don't give a crap what benefits there are to trade, so I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about, those like Awaken PoE, whatever it is, where it's like you hover something and it tells you the value. I'm not talking about trade or anything like that. I'm just talking about the vanilla experience for a solo cell phone perspective. And I think having an interactable passive tree that's first party is like the answer to it all. Mm-hmm. But not saying they need to change anything. It's not a criticism, again, to how they're doing it now. It just, they came out with a lot of changes, and I'm like, man, this would be perfect if this was something they were already doing. So hopefully it's something that they get to eventually in Path of Exile 2 land when things are less on fire. But I'm looking forward to the changes, because it's been, like you said, a very big flip-floppy couple weeks for them.
Yeah, lots going into PoE 1, so it'll be interesting to see how it comes out.
Yeah. Who would have thought that we might actually play PoE 1 again? A lot of our listeners are probably like, yeah, but come on, 19 new ascendancies. That's like, and it's only 2 nodes that are bringing me back. Okay, just 2. And I'm not going to have leech, so I'm going to die right away in hardcore, and I'm going to be like, okay, PoE 2, here we go.
Well,
Give me back dodge roll.
For me, I'm at the point where I've done everything I wanted to do in PoE 2, and you're struggling to have fun. So if PoE 1's got some updates that look fun, then we did say if PoE 2 wasn't our thing, which I'm not saying that at all, because I actually still love PoE 2. I don't find like there's something else for me to do. I've tried everything but the mercenary. I've gone as far as I need to go. I've experienced all the endgame stuff now. So, I'm looking forward to 0.2. So I kind of hope that they don't bring it out. I can't imagine they drop it anywhere near the time that Freaka comes out. But
that wouldn't make sense. That wouldn't make sense.
It wouldn't make any sense at all.
Not a lot of what they've done from our perspective, right? We're not back there, but a lot of what they've done hasn't made sense. So who knows what's going to happen? And honestly, at the end of the day,
sometimes it makes sense, and then the next day we're like, huh? Because then they change their mind, or they
right,
do something different.
Honestly, even if they came out with them at the same time, who cares?
They do. They definitely do.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I don't.
No.
Like, I'll play one for a little bit, or I'll play the other. Like, they'll get their stats. Mm-hmm. I'll get my game. I'll get my fun.
Yeah.
So I know you got that tone. You're trying to find a way. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But there was one more question I wanted to ask you before you do. And we've been over an hour because my phone's D&D is done. But I forget
what
I wanted to ask you. I forget.
Wait in silence.
Oh, no, it was, do you like
20 minutes later? Nobody will even know.
Yeah, you're such a, no, it was right away. But no, you were saying that you think the two
there with just crickets.
Yeah.
All right. You like that in After Dark, eh? With
yeah, you were really funny in After. Oh, that was so good. Man, I rambled.
It was so good. And you timed it so well with that song. Like it just worked so well. The best part was hopefully you remember your question. The best part in that episode though in After Dark was that you didn't know I was doing it. And you gave the title of that episode something related to hockey.
Oh yeah, it was like a Miller concoction.
Oh, it's so funny.
Like that.
Anyway, sorry, go with the question.
No, you're good. That was funny. You're a dick, but I love you. And happy Valentine's Day. Also, so you were saying that you think 0.20 is going to be the next patch.
Mm-hmm.
You don't think they're going to bother coming out with anything outside of hotfixes until then?
Nope, I don't.
So what do you think that then is going to be so... obviously, they said 0.20 is very important for them. What do you think they're going to include that they think is so important for right now? So like they said what their biggest things are, but what do you think they're going to do with 0.2 that is going to make it the next patch, as opposed to them having, I don't know what letter we're on, but E, G, or F or whatever.
I was wrong about 0.1. So I don't know for sure what 0.2 would bring. 0.1 surprised me. No, it's not fair that I was surprised when I was wrong, because the fact was they had such a short amount of time to put out 0.1. And so 0.2 is going to be their big one, where they've had full time working on it until whenever it comes out, versus the Christmas season. But
I think you called it. I think you said it's not we'd see this a class patch. It's going to be.
I did think that 0.2 would be the big one, that, but I was hoping that we would see something with a new class or ascendancy with 0.1. I don't remember how they worded it, or whether they said that 0.2 was going to be when they considered doing these resets that they feel they need to do. But I mean, for 0.2, I would hope that we see something new class or ascendancy wise, but I feel like what we're going to see is a lot of endgame change. And that's not what I'm mostly looking forward to, even though I am bored of endgame. And I think PoE 2 endgame needs some pretty major adjustments. I feel like it's more important to have some more classes and ascendancies to play. I don't see us getting any new acts, but I think my hope and what I'm leaning towards, hoping for, is something with classes or ascendancies. But I feel like what we're going to get is a pretty substantial endgame change.
I can see endgame changes coming every single patch, because you want to tweak the experience, you want to fine tune the experience, and you want the feedback, right? And there's nothing, hopefully they don't feel like there's anything wrong with going back to a previous idea after they've tried 4 different things, and they actually, you know what, with the changes that we're planning on making still, and the changes that we've already made to accommodate this, I actually think that this older idea that we had would actually work really well. Like I hope they're that open-minded about it. I think endgame changes will come no matter what, just because it's a constantly tweaked experience until the end, and that is, at the end of the day, their major focal point. But I do hope that they're focusing on all aspects of the game. You know what I mean? Like maybe, I like, obviously for me, I hope campaign and skills and current ascendancies, bosses, monsters, that's always being continually looked at, that they don't have phases for that. But that's what you think's coming out in the next 0.2.
Well, okay. Here's the thing. In every early access game I've ever played, and I have to give them props, I think their early access release has been phenomenal. In every early access game I've played, major patches typically brought in some major changes. Whether it was almost always new additions, right? Something new that they were bringing into the game for you to try out. So my feeling towards their early access is hopeful that they're not often, but they're major when they come. So that there's something big, but not, I don't expect them to be often at all. I mean, the game is way too big, but I would hope that if you're going to do a major patch, and we're expecting 0.2 to be a major patch, that it's bringing in something new that makes you excited to play it, or come back to play it. So I do understand that there's a lot of frustration in endgame, and people are struggling, but I also love it. I still think it's fun. I'm still playing it. It's just there's nothing else to do, and I think that they gated way too much stuff behind being way too far into your game before you get to experience some of the fun of it. But the fact is, there's just so many other things that need to come in that are early on stuff. You're talking skills, classes, ascendancies, balance. Like, there's so many things that need to be tweaked and added. So I would rather see more stuff that, even though I'm not a huge fan of the campaign, I would rather see some stuff that's putting me back into the campaign, but because I'm trying a new class, or there's new ascendancies or new skills or something, versus just play your current existing character because now there's new stuff to do in endgame. I'm not super keen on that idea, but
yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah. add more for the theory crafting option as opposed to the adventure option.
I don't think it would be all Endgame.
No.
They would have to do other stuff too. I just feel like they're still in the mode of trying to, Endgame was relatively rushed. I'm really curious. I mean, we'll never know, but what would we have seen if they hadn't done Endgame? Would we have seen more classes, more ascendancies, more skills, more what? Like, what would have taken
focus
it up?
on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what would the pacing be like that? Because that's something I really wanted to ask you about. Because, and I do you have 10 more minutes?
Sure.
I love you. So this was actually the subject that I wanted to bring up this entire time, because we were joking or observing of GGG's timeline. Like, no, we're only PoE2. And then now, obviously, they're working on PoE2 when they're doing all these Path of Exile 1 stuff. It's just they're not getting any posts about it. But then it seems like, oh, it's only Path of Exile 1. The joking of where their pacing is gone and their priorities based on their previous announcements. What originally, before early access came out, did you expect this early access pacing to be like? See, I've had a negative opinion regarding the early access pacing and priorities so far, and its initial release in general, and you've had a very positive perception of it. So we've had different early access experiences with the different games that we've played in the past. So what was your pacing expectation like? What did you think early access was going to be like in terms of fixes and additions?
So I know you don't think this, but my feeling was that your early access expectation was more league type things, where the game was in a much more fleshed out, almost more like a full release. And I expected EA to be gross and just playable, but I expected it to be not as it is actually a relatively well balanced currently. It needs some fixes for sure, but I expected them to have to do more to fix it up. With regards to the pacing, I kind of expected what we're currently seeing, which is long times between major patches. But what I'm hopeful, because we haven't seen this yet, we've only seen one major patch, right? 0.1, it brought out some cool stuff, but it, to me, did not feel like a big early access type content release to the early access. So my hope and feeling is that 0.2 is going to do that. And then that would be the pacing I would expect. We're talking most early access games I played, you were probably between 1 and 3 months between when you saw these major changes, but there was enough in that time to play it for a bit, have a good time. And then when they brought out the next patch, you would look and go, oh, that's cool. I want to try that out, and go back into the game and either start new or whatever, because you want to try all this new stuff out. I don't want to see stuff each week as they're patching and adding things. That to me is just, it's never going to be enough if I've stopped playing to start playing again when you're just releasing little bits at a time. I need to see big changes when you're doing these types of patches so that it pulls me back into the game. So I've played a lot of early access games. This is probably one of the top ones with regards to how well it came out. Like, there are some other ones that I played in early access. Satisfactory was one that I played in early access. I might even still be in early access, I'm not sure, but was great. Came out great. And when they came out with patches and early access updates, they were awesome, because they brought in totally new stuff that made you want to try something again. I feel like they're probably there. I think them focusing somewhat on PoE 1 is a smart move on their end, because it's something for players to fall back on. And I think that they probably underestimated how important that was to players when they went through the whole apology run of those 2 weeks. And I think that's why we're seeing a bigger push right now for PoE 1 stuff. I mean, the fact is, if 0.2 is still like a month out, they would not have done well to have just continued to wait after that apology whole session thing that they did. I mean, I wish they had not done the apology and just done this anyway, but I think this is a learning lesson for them, and they probably will adjust now moving forward to make sure that the thing they need to fall back on for both player retention and income is Path of Exile 1. You're not going to be able to release 0.20 and have a bunch of MTX that people want to buy. And you fucking better not, because my PoE 1 MTX still aren't in the game. So don't offer me new purchases in PoE 2 if you still don't have my PoE 1 purchases working yet. So I think they need PoE 1 to continuously have some updates and changes. Even if I don't play it or you don't play it, there are a lot of players who will. We've seen it in Discord. We've seen it in comments. Like, people still want to play something if they're bored out with PoE 2. So I'm excited for whatever 0.2 comes out because I have really big expectations for them. So hopefully I'm not disappointed.
To see how those expectations are met and if you're happy or disappointed. For me, my pacing expectations with the other EA games that I have played, early access games that I've played, was I expected smaller. I was very surprised with their addition to Endgame. Sometimes I agree with it. Sometimes I disagree with it. I flip-flop on it. But my expectation for their pacing was kind of like a once every 2 weeks bit. You need to give people time to play before, and then you add something. So it would be like, okay, so but I was expecting it in increments, right? So here's our first 3 acts, right? And we're going to be changing. Oh, here's basically all hot fixes, right? Like we've changed the balance of this, or monsters no longer do this, or oh, there's an area where you could get trapped in rocks in this area. And like you go through and it's just like people are playing. That's the same content. Everybody's just absorbing all the same content. And so they're fixing. Then that 2 week mark hits and it's like, okay, cool. Here's a new ascendancy. Here's new skills. Here's a rebalance for the current skills we have. And maybe a new act, maybe not, whatever it is. And then go. And then it's the same thing, right? And then it's just like fixing what you already have, focusing on that and going forward. And then the next 2 weeks, whether it's more skills or an act or whatever it is, and then it's the same thing. And you just keep going and you start fleshing out what you have as a bigger picture, but it's not as big because you've already gone through and done the initial stages of it to begin with. And so I was expecting a pace of something, especially because of the amount of content they had and all the ascendancies, all the acts. And then, of course, an eventual end game. I was expecting something along the lines of like lots of fixes and then a plop, and then lots of fixes and then a plop, and lots of fixes. So obviously that pacing's been out to lunch because of their inability to manage both games that they decided to release just before Christmas. But then also because of their massive push for Endgame at the beginning, I think that hurt the campaign experience at the beginning. So it wasn't necessarily that I expected things to be well tested and well balanced at the beginning, but I expected there to be a big focus of balance before content came out. But then I expected a consistent, all right, so this is our roadmap for this release, roadmap, release, roadmap, and that there was a consistency to it.
Well, there could still be a consistency to it, but it's definitely not going to be 2 weeks. We don't know what the consistency is yet because we've only seen one.
Well, but we're 2.5 months in. So unless this is going to be a 3-year early access, there's not like their plops have to be huge.
Well, and that's what we have to wait to see what 0.2 is, because it's really hard for us to gauge any sort of consistency or what that roadmap might look like, because we've only seen one major update and it really wasn't. I mean, we were talking such a short amount of time. It was more hotfixy, but here's some extra stuff. I don't mind the idea of hotfixes through the time. I agree with you. If they notice something's broken, they need to fix it. But I think it's unrealistic to hope that, well, I just think it's not going to happen where we see something every 2 weeks. I think we're more likely to see it every almost league. Sure. I think shorter, like probably 2 months, but I need those to be big because that's what brings what brings me back. The thing is, if they release an update every 2 weeks, I don't think it keeps me playing that whole time up until the 2 weeks, because I'm still going to hit a wall. And I think they know that that's the life of most Path of Exile players. They go really hard, they get really into it, and then, like most leagues, they just fall off.
But my 2 weeks, it wasn't like these plops aren't every 2 weeks. They're obviously not huge, but it's something, whether it's new skills, whether it's a new ascendancy, whether it's the new act. And it was that every 2 weeks would provide that slow increment, but of massive focus. You know what I mean? To just like, this is the only new stuff now. We feel really confident in what we had prior to this. We're adding this new stuff. Okay, now what needs to be tweaked because of this? And then you have a really good idea of, is this old stuff that needs to be changed now because of the new content? So do we change new content or the old? But because it's incremental, right? So it was never the big thing. But I get it. Like Path of Exile players are used to the 3-month cycle or even like a 1-month cycle technically, because a lot of people, like that's when the GG's numbers always burned down, was at that 3 to 4 week mark, right? So maybe you could balance around that. But at the same time, do you care about that pacing with early access? Like, whose pacing do you care about more, the user's pacing or the company's pacing? And I'm not saying there's a right or wrong answer to that. I think there's equal arguments on both sides.
I think they're thinking about theirs, but I think it also aligns with what a lot of players play with. I think for them, big dumps every 1 to 2 months is way better for their hyping it up and excitability and getting people to come back. If you're talking, let's say you were talking every 2 weeks or even every 3 weeks, introducing an ascendancy, just a single ascendancy, or introducing something small isn't enough to either keep people playing or bring them back to playing versus large changes that happen over a longer period of time. Guess.
And if you are looking at data, you need large volumes of people to come back and play. So I guess that makes sense.
That's my hope. Even like, at least my hope is that they are. I'm really, I have very high expectations for 0.2, just because I saw what 0.1 was. It was fine, but the benefit of the doubt, we went over Christmas. It was a shorter period of time. 0.2 is now going to be quite a long time. I think even longer because of this Freaka thing. I think it'll probably be pushed back even further.
I love how you say it.
I don't know what it is. Freaka.
Hey,
Freaka. It's Freaka.
Whoever it is that actually knows every word in the dictionary that works at GGG, they are vital to the company in terms of naming words, skills. And
go ahead.
Yes, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was going to say I finished
just
my book.
Praising the individual. Like, I remember when they were coming out with some of the blood skills for Path of Exile 1. We were like, I don't even know what that means. That's a real word, though. So anyway, go ahead. What's so funny?
No,
shut your face.
What was funny is I was in my head heard you saying, "Okay, your turn." When I just started to bring up a book randomly out of you talking about Path of Exile, so I apologize for that interruption. But that would have made me laugh super hard. I got to save one of those for when you do it. I finished my book, Babel. It was amazing.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
You brought up words, but yeah, Freaka.
Words.
Book.
But I know Babel specifically focuses on that concept.
It's amazing.
So, and thank you for lending it to us. Yeah. You are in good hands. My wife is a...
Are you going to read it? Does it interest you? You should.
Maybe.
Cool.
But my wife is... Did you buy it?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's yours? Okay.
Yeah.
So timeline's flexible?
I don't care if I ever get it back. I won't read it again.
Okay. Awesome. Well, we'll just have a section on our shelf
Justin's
that's
books.
like
it might
Justin's
just be one.
Well, that's fine. But go through. We have a little book club in our WhatsApp chat there. Go through, see if maybe catch up on some of those books if any of them interest you.
I don't like your all like the vampire stuff. That's not my thing.
It's fantasy, Justin.
Okay. Well, so is Babel, sort of. Yeah, it is. Definitely. It talks about magic and silver working, but it was awesome.
Dracula
the
knew
language
math.
Was so good.
And he also knew multiple languages.
He knew math?
That's cool. Maths. He mathed. And and he spoke different languages. And Van Helsing is probably the most annoyingly written character on the planet, but he spoke different languages too.
Didn't he shoot a crossbow?
No.
Oh. Gun?
No, if you throw Kate Beckinsale into
that's the one I'm thinking of.
Bram
obviously.
Stoker's Dracula, then yes,
black leather pants and shooting guns and
100%. You betcha.
Crossbows.
That's what they secretly wore under all those fancy dresses.
That's the Van Helsing I know.
Some tight ass leather. All right, well that's cool. I'm the funny thing is like there was lots to talk about, but nothing's happened.
We're just waiting.
Yeah, but it's exciting. Like we're actually pretty intrigued about Path of Exile 1, and we're pretty intrigued
but this
about
is the last time.
Yeah. No, but I don't know. It's kind of fun to like not actually have any experience throughout the week, but it's just the news, but it's news on both sides. And I don't know. I really hope that they're doing well. I hope things like, it seems like we said, GGG's kind of back. You know what I mean?
Nice to see.
And funny enough, it's not just the recognition of the holiday and the announcements coming through Twitter and updates, the teasers, just like, oh, they're comfortable again. It's kind of how it seems from my side. So I hope they feel comfortable. I hope whether it is that they're focusing on PoE 1 or focusing PoE, hopefully people are enjoying working there and building it, and the bosses are able to take a deep breath. Whatever it is that's been reorganized, I really hope they're having a good time making this product. So
yeah,
looking forward to it, man.
All right, let's wrap this up. Forever Exiled 280. I'm Justin, aka Tags.
One more question. I'm Tyler Recker of Days.
Go ahead. Question.
No, I have.
Oh,
no
you were
question.
kidding.
I just wanted to screw you up. Yeah, it was a joke, and I liked it, so that's all that matters.
Patrons, we'll see you in After Dark. Everybody else, we'll see you next week in 281. If you're looking for more information, you'll find down below. Go to website foreverexiled.com. We have the best Discord. Pop in there, especially if you want to play in the private league. That's pretty much the quickest way to find out about it, because you may be too late if you listen for it on an episode. And Patreon, other ways to support the podcast down on the website. We appreciate it. Love your faces. Make sure you hit that 5-star on everything that's out there. And love you.
No, just us. Don't 5-star.
Well, I just mean on all the things.
All our things.
Yes. Our things.
Not
all right.
any things.
Bye.
You're fun.